Hello, my fellow students. Welcome to our open house. My name is Alec. I have been an online writing center tutor with Gavilan College since spring 2021, and since fall 2020, I have been a full-time, fully online student at Gavilan College. Due to the government response to COVID-19, there is a good chance that many of you have also been learning at least partly online during the last couple of years, whether that be at Gavilan or somewhere else. I think it is important that we acknowledge that this has never been the norm for most people, and that this new learning format takes a particular set of skills, deliberateness, and self-discipline in order to be successful. With that in mind, this video presentation is going to be focused on helping you be a successful online student. Now, just a little disclaimer. There is no way that I'm going to be able to cover everything that a person needs to do in order to be a successful online student, nor could I actually think of everything that a person needs to do. What I intend to do is share some things that I have personally done and continue to do to be a successful online student, and I will only be able to cover some of those things here. The tips, practices, and habits that I share in today's presentation are here to assist you in your online learning journey, but not all of them may be as useful to you as they are to me. Nonetheless, I hope that some of what I am about to share helps you out. I will present my suggestions, tips, practices, what have you, in the following order: mindset, proper environment, useful computer applications. I am only going to cover these 3 topics today. However, in the future I may make some more videos, perhaps turning the tips, suggestions, what have you that I have used into a sort of series. Part 1. Mindset. The first thing that I want to briefly talk about isn't so much a suggestion or tip, rather I just want to raise awareness of what an absolute blessing it is to be able to be an online student. I want to cover this because I've noticed that some students have a tough time staying motivated and engaged while learning online, much like this fellow pictured here. And I think this may have to do with the perception that online school is somehow inferior or lesser in some way than in-person. However, I don't believe this to be the case, at least not for people in the junior college age range. I just think that online school takes some adjusting, practice, and a proper headspace to be successful. Think about the logistical advantages of being an online student. First of all, for many of us, the time and cost of commuting is completely eliminated. This is a huge advantage if you live far away from where you go to school, don't have access to a gas-efficient vehicle, or don't have a vehicle at all. Secondly, many classes don't require you to meet every day at a specific time, unlike how school was for many of us growing up. From what I've seen, classes meet around twice a week and meetings are sometimes optional. This can help free up your schedule, which can allow you to be more flexible with your job, family obligations, and other important matters. It can even allow you to devote more time to engaging with the course materials on your own, which is an advantage for some. For example, I am a slow reader. Any extra time I am able to have for school, I put towards reading course content. Thirdly, deadlines are a part of life, but with online learning, assignment due dates are often on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Rather than turn an assignment in every day or every couple of days in person, you can choose when you work on something and when you submit it during a window of time. This requires some self-discipline, but also allows for more freedom. Fourthly, iLearn, the website that Gavilan uses to let students access their course information, pretty much comes with an automatically updating planner. Remember planners, also known as agendas? Yeah, you can still use one, which is fine, but I'd argue that they're not as necessary as they used to be, since assignment deadlines for all classes can be seen in iLearn's dashboard. Keeping track of what you have to get completed is a little easier thanks to digital tools. Lastly, for those who are genuinely concerned over the harmfulness of COVID-19, online learning has allowed people to still work towards earning a degree. It has allowed them to continue to better their lives despite sketchy world events. These are just a few advantages that online learning has over in-person learning, and just some of the things that makes the format so great. I guess the point that I am trying to make with all this is that online learning, although it requires an adjustment period and may not be everyone's preference, is an extraordinary luxury. I hope this doesn't come off as a shake my finger at you and shape up sort of deal. It isn't meant to. I just know that when I get lax in my studies and feel my enthusiasm wavering, which does happen, reminding myself of the lucky position I'm in helps keep me going. We really are in an extraordinary time to be students. Part 2. Environment. As an online student, you are most likely going to be studying and completing your school assignments somewhere other than the Gavilan College campus. When you're physically showing up to campus, it can be easier to find a proper study environment. However, this is obviously not a luxury that many of us have now. We have to be a little bit more deliberate about finding a good learning and studying environment for ourselves. Here are some suggestions for how to do that. Firstly, if you live close to the Gavilan campus but are taking classes online, you actually can still go to the Gavilan Library. That is, as long as you meet the COVID-19 requirements to be on campus. The school library is a great place to access information and find some quiet to complete your schoolwork. I want to make this clear that this option isn't ruled out. If you can't or don't want to do that, another place you can go is your local library. This is a good option if you live far from Gavilan but still want a semi-scholarly environment. Plus, libraries almost always have free Wi-Fi. Another place you can go is a local cafe, coffee shop, or diner. Like libraries, coffee shops very often have free Wi-Fi that you can connect to. And hey, doing this is a great excuse to get a delicious beverage. I personally find the mentioned types of places to be great reading environments, especially early in the morning before the crowd shows up. Lastly, if you are lucky enough to have your own Wi-Fi and a tranquil home environment, then I would suggest just staying there to study. I know some people can feel cabin fever after staying at home for too long, especially after staring at screens for hours on end, so switching up to one of the previously mentioned locations could still be a good idea. I now want to talk about some ways to improve your study environment. Once you find a suitable location, I think there are still some things that can be done to help you get into a proper, calm state of mind and remain comfortable while learning and studying. Some of the things I almost always do before I begin working are: I put my over-the-ear headphones on and play nature sound effects, ambient music, background noise, or some combination of these things, usually on YouTube. I often have 2 to 3 YouTube tabs open in my browser playing different sounds. I use an ad blocker so I don't experience any interruptions or get distracted. This helps drown out any harsh and abrupt noise that may occur while I am working. Noise-canceling headphones and over-the-ear headphones are ideal for this, but you can use what you have. I usually eat a full meal and fill my thermos with something hot to drink before I begin my schoolwork. This keeps me from getting up and becoming distracted by my stomach. If you decide to stay at home, I recommend buying a desk fan or installing a ceiling fan in whatever room you will be working in. And in the spring, fall, and winter months, when it's not too cold, I open my office window. Maybe it's just in my head, but I feel that I think better when I have fresh air circulating. Lastly, and this is a more long-term consideration, and it may not be doable for everyone, but I recommend working in an ergonomic position. I am lucky enough to have my own desk and fantastic office chair, which after 2 years of full-time school and tutoring, I can say have been worth their weight in gold. I highly recommend that if you can, definitely invest in these things. If you are going to be a student for the foreseeable future, you are going to want to work in a way that does not ruin your body. Lying in bed or sitting on the couch with a laptop on my lap just doesn't cut it. Part 3. Useful computer applications and tools. I want to briefly cover some important computer applications and tools that can be used to help you be a successful online student. These are in no particular order of importance, nor does this list cover every computer application you'll need during your time as a student. However, I may cover some things here that you may not know about. We'll start with calendar applications, then spreadsheet programs, the iLearn dashboard, and your free Gavilan Gmail account. There are dozens of calendar applications out there, and often they come free with an email account. I personally use the Apple Calendar application since I own a Mac, but you can use Google Calendar or whatever comes on your computer. I've found that calendars are good for scheduling reminders for school meetings and for stuff that is actually happening outside of school. Since it is my daily practice to check all of my classes in iLearn, I don't need reminders for assignment due dates. Here you can see a snapshot of one of my weeks in my calendar app, including things like a friend's birthday, class meetings, and a dentist appointment. Not everything I do in a day or a week is on this. I just include things that I may forget about or are important. I know this may be basic for some who are watching, but not everybody has used these sorts of time management tools, and as a consequence, many things slip through the cracks. The key is to set reminders for things 1 to 2 days in advance, and to check wherever you get your notifications daily. The second thing I mentioned was some sort of spreadsheet program. I use both Apple Numbers and Google Sheets, depending on what I am working on. One example of how I use spreadsheets is this one I created to give me a look at what schoolwork I have to do over the next 2 weeks. I usually update this once a week. It helps me prioritize which assignments to work on each day of the week. Although it is blank right now, I actually use this very frequently. Another useful tool that I use, which I hope you also use, is the iLearn dashboard. The iLearn dashboard is great because most of the time, it shows you all of your due dates and important reminders for all of your classes. However, I don't recommend solely relying on the dashboard to remind you of when to complete your schoolwork, because sometimes, depending on how a class is structured, certain things may not appear on the dashboard. This is something to be cognizant of. If you make use of the iLearn dashboard, I still recommend going into each of your class modules and announcements regularly to make sure you don't miss anything. One of the coolest things that you get as a Gavilan student is a free Gmail account. Having a student email account is great because it keeps your school emails separate from your personal ones. What is even cooler though is the fact that Gmail accounts come with access to many free applications that are great for school. My personal favorites are Google Sheets and Google Docs. Since I am a Writing Center tutor, let me quickly talk about Google Docs, an online word processor. Google Docs is a great tool because it allows you to save any essays you write online rather than on your computer, which helps you save space on your hard drive. It also comes with many commonly used essay format templates, MLA and APA being 2 of them, as you can see circled here. Docs is also a great tool for sharing your work with a teacher or tutor because it allows multiple users to view, edit, and leave side comments on an essay together at the same time. Side note, if you'd like to help make your appointment with a Writing Center tutor go smoothly, and make your tutor a happy camper, it is great to have your essay uploaded in Google Docs and shared with editing permission enabled with that tutor. Alright, well, I think that will do it. I hope this brief video gave you some suggestions and tips that prove useful to you, and I hope to collaborate with you sometime in the online Writing Center at Gavilan College. Good luck to you in your learning journey. Cheers!